we should probably zoom out real quick because we've been talking a lot about crypto and maybe frame what we're about to talk about in comparison to what I used to do as a banker, right?
Yes.
I think this next slide that you put up that looks like a superhero slide. What are you trying to say here with this slide here?
Looks like the boxing fight slide.
Yeah, right?
But essentially, so today we'll talk about the low risk. So we're talking about proof of stake and single coin staking, specifically for stables, because we see so much asymmetrical returns here. But I think going back to the traditional TradFi route would make a lot of sense for people who have the same background as you and maybe are not just moving into DeFi at the moment. What is the difference between proof of stake and the normal shares or equity plays that we see in traditional finance? And I think one of the cool things of seeing this, Brian, in terms of proof of stake is, you know how in traditional finance you have common shares and preferred shares, or common stocks and preferred stocks?
Yeah. It's something that when you go to buy a company, you can go back in the day in the Wall Street Journal and you could say, okay, I could buy common stock, basically shares of Apple Computer, or you could buy or Ford Motor Company or Disney, or you could buy the preferred shares, right? Which meant you got a fixed yield over time.
Yes.
Right? And that was an option that you got. You could kind of have one or the other. You could get the upside of the share and get no promised dividend, or you could get a little bit more of a fixed dividend and maybe slightly less ownership in the company.
Exactly it. And you'd get voting rights
Right.
on the common shares as well.
Right.
But the beauty about proof of stake, just to show why proof of stake and this kind of similar to an equity model, right? Because you need to hold the tokens. But what's better about DeFi than TradFi is you have all of that in one. So the validators, those who run the nodes, they're getting voting rights plus the dividends in one deal.
Right, plus the upside of the tokens.
Plus
right?
the upside of the tokens.
And the tokens can be a demand because they're being used for transactions or they're the total, market cap of that protocol. So again, look at something like Ethereum, the second biggest. You need ETH to pay for gas. The ETH also goes up in value over time. And so a little bit different than like a share of Ford Motor Company. If you stake it, you get, like you said, voting rights, potentially some really interesting yields, and the upside of the protocol.
And on top of that, you don't need those silly quarterly reports. Everything is live on chain in real time. Yeah. So you don't need those reports. You can track it right now.
And it's in the smart contract too, which I think you maybe touch on later, which like you said, you can see, it's programmed, it's trackable. It's something we didn't always see with TradFi.
Exactly. And one thing that's important for those staking, on proof of stake, the beauty of this, and again, it's kind of, for the lack of a better analogy, it's like owning a stock and delegating that stock to those with the preferred and common shares and reaping benefits from delegating your stock, which you can't do in traditional finance.
Yeah, that's a really good example. All right, and so again, if anybody's watching us that doesn't own crypto, again, the best way to do this is to start, buying a small amount of crypto, $50 or $100, and then try it, and you can start to see comparisons with buying a stock or some of your traditional investments. And if you're one of those people that says, I don't buy stocks, well, trust me, some of your pension money is locked up in a stock portfolio somewhere. Some of your IRA money, you actually are exposed to the stock markets. So again, look at all the global events recently. You want to be involved in this asset class. So go buy something small. And now we're basically going to show you what to do with it.